Joining us on the stream right now with his very fluffy and cute doggo, Kirk Witt from Four Stroke Baron. Sir, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. What's popping?
Not a whole lot, just listening to some music, chatting about it, and gonna chat about your new album, Classics, which came out a
Sweet.
couple of weeks ago. Now, just a first easy question to settle this in. Now that the album
Uh-huh.
is out, how are you feeling? What's been the reaction that you've seen so far? And what does it all mean to you?
The response has been good. It's a when you release something, there's always like this anxiety period where it's out for literally 20 minutes and you don't really hear anything yet, and you always get this thought of like, what if no one even really listened to this and it just disappeared? And oh wait, my dog's taking a shit. Perfect timing.
Amazing.
Uh,
I don't, yeah.
Yeah, it feels something. It feels like something. It feels like taking a big shit. And then
The relief that you feel afterwards. I got you.
yeah. And all right, I gotta scoop this up. And then
There's a metaphor here.
yeah, I did not plan this poop timing.
So, honestly, like given the sound of the album, this is not at all like out of the ordinary for like anything that we were expecting, my friend.
I think my dog knows what's going down. But yeah, I actually with Planet Silver Screen, when that came out, we were super pumped on the response. And then recently I started going through old posts on Instagram that I archived, and I realized how few comments or just feedback we even got from Planet Silver Screen. So in comparing it to this one, like the response has been badass. It's like a ton of people are digging it. We're getting way more engagement from people. And so yeah, we're super pumped on it.
Yeah, and like I think that people are right to be pumped on it. I mean, the first single Friday Night that came out, like a really good preview of what was on that album, with it's just like a mix of everything, Corey. Like you can call it prog, you can call it metal, you can, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things that, you know, we talk about this show how we like to categorize things and everything like that.
You
This
can't.
is just it's in the miscellaneous pile, just like whatever the fuck, like you're gonna find stuff in it that you enjoy and stuff like that. So, I'm very curious, Kirk, before we get into other questions that I have. You did a takeover on Prosthetic Records Instagram the other day, and kind of going through how you layered some of these tracks and what was in there and stuff like that. And like, my mind just explodes with like some of the shit that's in there. Like, oh yeah, here you go. This is my sister reading ATM notes in an angry voice that we have synthesized and put in there. So like, what, like, where does that start? I guess, like, how do you decide to layer in just like, you know, 10-year-old sounds from sessions of like hip hop albums or something that you've done a while ago to like layer these into brand new songs?
It's just experimentation. Like when we're recording, especially all those parts, like all the synthesized like loop kind of things, which you don't have to play anything. You don't have to sit there with your instrument. So a lot of times Matt and I will just have some beers and sit in front of the computer and just kind of mess around on the synth, come up with a cool little melody. And then I just have a whole file, like a big folder of sounds that I've collected over the years and recorded. And sometimes you'll just go in there and start flipping through old sounds you have for inspiration. And sometimes you just come across something that just hits your ear right. And we just kind of throw it in, start experimenting with effects, kind of just see what happens. So it's a whole lot of experimentation with those parts. And then each layer that you add, you can kind of, it starts to form a picture, and then you can kind of hear from there where it's going, and then if you want to add something else on top of it or a certain kind of sound, so things like that.
Was there anything in this process where that you found was just like too fucking weird to put on the album, where you're like, no, we can't do that because that just could be like, I don't know.
No, it's almost our motto. It's just we can't go deep enough, we can't go hard enough, and so if anything, we keep thinking like maybe we could have gone even deeper. Because like the first thing we made was Radium, like that whole intro piece. And that kind of set the tone for it. We're like, all right, this album will just be whatever we want. Try and just push everything over the edge. and see how nice we can make it sound.
Cori, I'm gonna let you jump in.
Oh, I get to ask one now. Yay! So I wanted to talk a little bit about your vocal style, because it's both extremely unique and extremely familiar at the same time. Like, it's one of those things that it inspires nostalgia while at the same time being something I haven't heard before. And I was like, can you go over your influences, your inspirations, and how you developed your vocal style?
So with the vocals, Matt and I were jamming, and we started jamming like 2010, and we weren't recording anything. I was going over to his house or our friend's house, and then we would just kind of start playing and just improvise. And we had a couple songs we'd written, but we never recorded anything. And we're like, hey, let's start actually recording something so we have something to show people. And for a while we were trying out vocalists, and nobody was good. Like, everyone, I mean, like, a bunch of them could actually sing, but they just weren't a good fit, is what I mean. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, man, everyone's vocals like just isn't really doing it for us. And so I was like, dude, there's no reason I can't just try it. And so that's why I had never sang before. I never wanted to sing. I never wanted to be a singer. But then that's why if you listen to the EP, the first thing we recorded, a bunch of those songs have literally 20 tracks of vocals, because I was kind of self-conscious about my voice and I couldn't sing very well. So I would just layer it so it didn't even sound anything like me. And then then we recorded King Radio, got a little bit more confidence, but they're still mixed really low and everything was like double or quadruple tracked. And then finally with Classics, like, just got more comfortable singing and recording, that I just had more confidence just to do like a single vocal track and just kind of let my sound, like, own the sound that I have. Mm-hmm. And there's no particular influence other than it was the easiest way for me to sing at first. Like, it's not a highly technical way of singing or anything. It's just but I wanted it to be melodic. Mm-hmm. So I'd like write little melodies and then just sing with the tone that's most comfortable for my voice. And it just kind of ended up that way.
Well, the best things do just kind of end up that way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
John, you got another one?
Yeah, I was just gonna. We have a comment in the chat saying that from Lurk666 saying that the vocals remind him of Tears for Fears. We have a lot of I personally, Kirk, hear a little bit of Pete Steele in your vocals as well. I know I've heard Robert Smith, lots of different people. I know Cori. One of the days that we played your tracks on the show, we were going back and forth. I know Cori's had like dissertations trying to figure out.
Like 40 freaking bands. I'm like, this voice sounds so familiar, but at the same time, it doesn't. And it's like, I cannot put my finger on whatever nostalgia it is triggering, but it's something somewhere. And I dug deep and could not. I'm just gonna have to let it go and be okay with it.
It sounds like Kirk. How about that, Cori?
Yeah, it sounds like
Kirk. Exactly. Exactly. That's I was gonna say, like, with I listened to Tears for Fears. It's funny because I didn't really think about it until it was like after we recorded King Radio or something, where I kind of noticed after the fact. I was like, oh, it kind of does sound similar to him, Roland Orzabal. But and we get Typo Negative a lot, but I never really listened to Typo Negative. I actually checked him out because people have made the comparison. So.
Yeah, I dig Typo Negative. So in my mind, that's a compliment. Boom. I did want to talk about something that's been a big talking point about the album and stuff like that, which is obviously Devin Townsend's involvement. I'm curious on how that kind of like relationship started and like what the conversation was like before you like shipped everything off over that, and if you had any examples other than the ones that we can plainly hear with our ears of something that you sent off to and it came back and you're like, holy shit, this is way different than anything that we would have expected from that.
Yeah, so with Devin, we got to him through Prosthetic. because at first I mixed the album, but then the guy at Prosthetic, he's like, we want to try having somebody mix it, and he's like, who, if you had anybody that could mix it, who do you think would be a good fit? And the first person I thought of was Devin. So Prosthetic got a hold of him, and they hooked us up together. We talked to him on the phone, and then when we talked to him, because I've been a fan of Devin's, and the one thing I always liked about his music was all the textures and everything, just weird sounds that are kind of blended in, just to give something for your ear to grab onto. And so with Devin, we just told him, we're like, dude, go as insane as possible. Like, you can't freak us out enough with it. And the first track he sent back, first we did some kind of plain mix things, like just get the drums, bass, guitars dialed in. But then after that, we started with Radium. And that was the first one we got back that just had a ton of little sounds. Like, if you listen to the original version of Radium, he added these weird orchestral things. He added some little vocal things on top. He added some big vocal choir type of things. So Radium was the first one that was just kind of blew our minds a little bit.
Yeah, and you
then
mentioned
with the
go ahead. Sorry.
With a few of the other songs, yeah. Oh yeah, and then there's like some songs needed it more than others. Like there's some tracks where there's no real additions; it's just kind of dialed in. And like the mastering, worked with his mastering engineer to keep it nice and clean. Like we purposely didn't make it super loud. So it's quiet, mastered quieter than a lot of albums, but there's no compromise in the sound. There's no clipping or there's nothing, no degrading of the sound just to make it louder. So it sounds super good if you like crank it on a vinyl or just anywhere. So that's another one of the aspects of it that turned out awesome.
Amazing. And you mentioned how, it's a lot of different stuff for your ears to grab onto. Like, as I've been listening to this over the past couple weeks, I've said that it is a playground for your ears, I think, because of all the little things that are around in there. And like, it's weird because this album is both immediate and also rewards patience at the same time, right? Because most of everything is there, right? Where it's like, you get the general idea of what's going on in all these songs on the first listen, but then as you go back, you're like, holy shit, there's like 10,000 different like sounds in here that the ear can latch onto, which I think has been, like you guys have been saying, just weird and just fun and smart on that end as well.
Nice. Yeah.
And speaking of the sounds, are there any that are like your particular favorite that you snuck in there that people might not recognize, that like, oh, hey, this is the sound of me dropping a bunch of eggs on my kitchen floor, or something really random like that that's just kind of hidden in there that we could know about?
Yeah, there's quite a bit, actually. That's a good question. There's one of my favorites. It's not really hidden, but it's the announcement in Radium where it's like any supplies, shelter, medicine. And I was substitute teaching at some school, and this person came on the announcements, and her voice just sounded insane. So I just pulled out my phone and hit the voice memos. And Matt and I were going through sounds. I was showing him a bunch of weird voice memos I have, just like random sounds I find. And then we listened to that, and we're like, dude, that sounds weird. Let's just throw that on. So that's my favorite sample. And because like starts off the album, it's prominent, and it's just so weird. Like, I think when someone hears it, they don't know where it's from, but it's like clearly it just sounds like this panicked announcement. And God, what else? There's literally every song has something. I do like you guys mentioned it earlier, the in the Friday night transition where it's my sister reading off the ATM. It's like, shield your body from the ATM's keyboard. Keep people out of your line of sight. And it's her I just told her to scream that. And I recorded that from her like God, that was maybe 2010 or something. That was a long time ago.
So do you just keep like terabytes of random
that's
noises on your computer?
Yeah, I probably have a few gigabytes of just random crap.
Yeah, and it's interesting as hell too, because like I know that basically what you were saying as far as like voice recording and everything like that, that's something that like a band like Imperial Triumphant does when they hear like awful sounds as they're walking through New York City. They're like, that rhythm is going to go on our next album or something like that. But on the flip side, we interviewed a band, Frontier, a couple of weeks ago, and I think Cori, you asked that question about like what are the weird sounds that you get, and they're like, no weird sounds when we're out down and make the music that we do. So I love seeing the different sides of everyone figuring all that stuff out, like literally just voice record. I thought it was like an announcement from like a bus station or something like that.
Oh yeah. No, that's one of my favorite parts of making music is just it's all the little atmospheres and sounds you can build, just kind of sitting there, just get creative with whatever. That's one of the funnest parts to me. So I can't imagine making something without throwing that kind of stuff in.
Oh yeah, we couldn't imagine listening to it at this point. Like now that we know that it's there, like what else are we gonna fucking do? Cori, do you want to ask the famous question?
Oh yes, the question that is the best question of all interviews. What is your favorite dinosaur?
Oh, my favorite dinosaur.
Yeah, it's the most important question, man. Choose carefully.
Man, I think I have to just be generic and just say like a T-Rex or something.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a classic. Nothing wrong with a classic.
Yeah.
Big head and little arms. I mean, it's amusing and terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't just eat plants.
No,
everything. Amazing stuff over here. Kirk, it was so good to have you on. Any last parting words for anybody that has been diving into Four Stroke Baird or is about to before we head off?
No, I just hope everyone digs it, checks it out, and has fun listening to it and go insane.
Fantastic. Well, we're enjoying the album now, but now I can't help but think like, okay, what are these motherfuckers gonna do for the next album? Like, how fucking weird are they gonna get going forward? So no pressure on that right now, but the seed has been planted, sir.
It's it's and I can already tell you it's gonna be goddamn insane.
Well, if it was anything other than insane, I wouldn't want to listen to it.
And a few little things. You guys will dig it. It's we're thinking a fully electronic album. And then also maybe like a double EP or a double album where it's like also something super heavy. But we have some ideas brewing that are going to be ridiculous.
Amazing stuff. Well, in the meantime, everybody pick up Classics by Four Stroke Baird and Mazza. Put the link in the chat right now. Kirk, it was so good to talk to you, my friend. Have fun throwing your dog shit away, and we will hopefully see you some other time.
I will. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one, man.
All right. Bye.